Welcome to the Inclusion Insights podcast, where we share practical strategies for creating inclusive workplaces. I'm Rhoda Ogunpehin, founder of Archie Consult and author of Amazon bestseller, Not Too Small for Inclusion. Today, we're discussing a topic that often flies under the radar, but significantly affects employees' experiences: accent bias. To help me explore this, I'm delighted to welcome Marlon Opigo, an expert leader in the creative and professional services industry with expertise in business development, partnerships, and product sales. Marlon is a passionate advocate for sustainability and inclusion, focusing on current and emerging challenges. Currently leading his own organization in real estate investment and property management. Marlon, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Rhoda. It's a pleasure to be here discussing such an important and overlooked topic.
So let's get right to it. Accent bias. Whether we're aware of it or not, it's all too common. And let's face it, we all have an accent. Many employees who speak with accents that differ from the so-called standard often face challenges, being judged on their speech rather than their ideas. And this can lead to missed opportunities, unfair treatment, limited career progression, and people leaving. So let's start with the basics, Marlon. What exactly do we mean by accent bias? And why is it something employers should address?
Great question. Accent bias refers to the assumptions or judgments people make about others based on how they speak rather than what they're actually saying. So often individuals they have maybe regional or foreign accents. They might be seen as less competent or sometimes less educated, even though they're obviously just being themselves. That's just how they speak. So simply due to how they sound, they might be perceived in a certain way. They might be judged. This can be subtle, but it can greatly impact hiring, promotions, daily interactions. Really great question.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Marlon. And it's a hidden barrier to inclusion, and that can impact a company's culture and productivity. So what are some ways organizations can tackle this?
Well, firstly, I would say one of the most impactful strategies is to provide training. So that could be on accent bias itself. This could be part of a broader diversity and inclusion effort. So when employees learn about unconscious bias in particular, they become more aware of how they might unintentionally judge others. So for me, it's all about collaborating and encouraging open conversations. So this would help break down these stereotypes. It will build more empathy. If you're using more inclusive languages and just certain things that you have within a company's policies, it will make it easier to ensure that communication is going to be on a certain wavelength. So we're avoiding jargon. You might not say anything that could be offensive to somebody. So it's just about being aware, and having that training, that education would allow businesses to have a better company culture where people can feel more inclusive and be themselves ultimately.
Yeah, great strategies. Great. And I also add that fostering a culture where ideas are valued over how they're expressed is essential. So, Marlon, any quick examples of how companies can support those affected by accent bias?
Yeah, certainly. So one effective approach is mentorship. So pairing employees with mentors who advocate for them can help amplify their contributions and build more confidence. Another is to highlight diversity in leadership, because often in these large organizations, when people see individuals with a wide variety of accents in leadership positions, so that competence isn't just defined by an accent. So there could be employee resource groups on ethnicity, on age, having those platforms and places where people can actually speak and openly say, this is how I feel, and make sure again that everyone is comfortable in their own skin, and it would lead to more productivity at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Marlon, for these valuable insights. Accent bias is just one of the many forms of bias that can hold people back, and addressing it is key to creating a more inclusive workplace. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure for shedding a light on an important topic once again.
So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. For more practical strategies on building an inclusive workplace, check out my Amazon best-selling book, Not Too Small for Inclusion. Until next time, remember, true inclusion begins when we address the biases we can't always see. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment wherever you're listening.